They said there's a young heavyweight in the Catskills called Mike Tyson. I'd never heard of Mike. I didn't know who he was. He was knocking men out left, right and centre. This 17-year-old phenomenon was just incredible. But I didn't know this. I was just happy to hear
Mike Tyson. That being said, I want to see my mate, Big Joe Egan, fight John Fury.
For countless times, boxing professionals have treated Jake Paul as a stranger to their sport and have warned him against his excesses and violations, especially with his repeated comments over Tyson's late daughter. In recent weeks, Jake Paul has been on the receiving end of trolls for his insensitive comments about Mike Tyson's daughter. However, he apologized not too long after, with an apology many deem casual, irrelevant, and unremorseful. To prove their claims, he came again with a comment on Tyson's daughter and has now attracted worse trolls than he saw the first time. Professionals have reacted furiously at him, and it is certainly not going to end soon for him. Let's dive right in.
And the contract, big boy. Sign the contract.
No problem. Saturday, July 20th. See you there, buddy.
You heard it right, mother. I'm fighting Mike Tyson.
Psych! You really thought I was partying? We out here, high altitude, Colorado Springs, with the Olympians, Team USA Boxing. Let's get it. Let's go!
The much anticipated matchup between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson has been one topic that continues to rock the boxing world. No problem, July 20th. Those were the exact words of Jake Paul when he finally signed the contract to make the fight with Mike Tyson, a scene many have likened to him signing his death warrant. At this point, there is no gainsaying that the fight between Paul and Tyson is set to be one of the biggest ever events in recent history as two stars and two forces from two different eras collide. The topic can't just get off the agenda, and the talking points may not get exhausted anytime soon, with over 3 months left until July 20th, when Jake Paul will finally go face-to-face and head-to-head with legendary Mike Tyson in the boxing ring. Definitely, a lot of things have happened since the fight between Paul and Tyson was officially announced. The drama, the tension, just everything has heightened in the camps of both fighters, and that is very much expected as regards a high-profile match of this nature. A lot of things have changed since 3 to 4 weeks ago. Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, who usually came off publicly as pals, somewhat now stare at each other like sworn enemies, and it's this sort of enmity that has developed over the last few weeks that will continue to develop until July 20th. And one more time, Jake Paul has elicited empathic responses from boxing professionals, again after his latest comments on Mike Tyson's late daughter in the build-up to their upcoming fight, and it's gotten to the extent that he has been sternly warned to cancel the fight with Tyson. But before we get into that, it's also quite important to know Jake Paul had in the past obviously idolized and referred to Mike Tyson as his childhood hero.
Good to meet you. Where you from, Lou? I'm Jake.
Imagine meeting your childhood hero for the first time and they call you your brother's name. We don't even fucking look
Well,
alike.
who wouldn't? It's the legendary Mike Tyson being talked about here. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know, it's weird. When you sign the contract, something changes, right? Like, even if we want to feel that it's still like you, we are facing off. Obviously, I love him, respect him so much. I'm honored to be going into the ring with him, but bro, we are fighting each other, Jake Paul said.
Yeah, the biggest ever.
Ever. It's on pace to be the biggest fight ever.
Yes, and we're involved.
We're involved, right?
We're involved. All of
Shaking his hand when we were at the shoot. This motherfucker's strong as shit. Like, probably the strongest handshake.
You think it was intentional, or
I don't know, because I don't think he was like trying to squeeze, but you could just feel his like hands are like brick.
He set the standards during his era, and it's no surprise that many fighters of the younger generation are ardent fans of his. Jake Paul, however, has been moving contrary to the comments he had earlier made of Tyson, though. For someone whom he referred to as his childhood hero, someone he loves and respects, no one would have really thought that Paul would make certain comments about Tyson and his family. It is believed by some that these comments, all in the name of trash talking the opponent before a match, is a strategy on different fronts. But Jake Paul might have just crossed the line, as he doesn't seem to know where to stop. Recall that Jake Paul had earlier been under fire for trash talking Mike Tyson by making mockery of his late daughter, Exodus Tyson, after which he retracted his comments and apologized, but from the look of things, Paul never repented and he only apologized and retracted his initial statement, probably due to external pressure. Now that the pressure and backlash seems to have subsided, Paul is back again basking in his true colors as he yet again goes hard on Tyson with several references to his late daughter. Exodus, aged 4 years at the time of her demise, had died about 14 years ago, a day after she was involved in an incident that was referred to by the police as a tragic incident. Her neck was caught in an exercise machine cable, an incident that sent shockwaves to everyone connected, related, and associated with the Tyson family. I always play with her and it's just really sad to hear that. Mike is a personal friend of mine. It's just really sad. Really, my condolences go out to him. Mohammed Khalik, a friend of Mike Tyson, said to newsmen after the tragedy, Exodus's mom's attempts at a CPR to save the little girl's life proved abortive in what ended as a big loss to the Tysons, an event that Iron Mike Tyson does not remember with a smile on his face today. This is the event being brought up by Jake Paul in the build-up to the fight with Mike Tyson, despite it being of a very sensitive and emotional nature. Hey Mike, I know you're looking forward to training hard for the match, yeah? I'm training very hard and looking forward to it too. Better get set because it's gonna be your funeral. When I'm through with you, there'd be no need having fun memories and flashbacks of your late daughter. I'm gonna make it easier for you to be with her, oldie. There is no doubt that Jake Paul has once again triggered a very sensitive part of Mike Tyson. Tyson is known to pride himself as being the hardest guy in the world, the baddest man on the planet. However, there is an emotional side to the beastly fighter who was a nightmare and a constant menace to opponents during his time winning several titles.
Bad at all. Everyone that's watched the tapes of Mike knows tying him up and frustrating is a way to get to him mentally.
Tyson with a head and shoulders move, left hook right up.
Before retiring as an icon of the sport close to 2 decades ago, Iron Mike Tyson definitely has a soft side, and he's shown it so many times, especially when he has to talk about the death of his daughter. Hence, Jake Paul's recent comments can be likened to him reopening old wounds. There's always a risk that comes with reopening the wounds of a beastly fighter though. If he was planning to give 100% to the fight initially, he would look to put in more effort so as to cause more damage to his opponent. As a result, Paul needs to be more cautious of his statements in order to avoid the wrath of Mike Tyson, something that caused fright to many boxers in the 80s and 90s. Truly, many believe that the only reason why Jake Paul will be able to fight Tyson is because he is 57 years old and no longer that vicious beast he used to be during his active years. And even Tyson has admitted he is scared of going back to those years when people were scared of him. I know the art of fighting. I know the art of war. That's what I was studying. That's why I'm so afraid. That's why they feared me when I was in that ring. I was an annihilator. That's why I was born. Now those days are gone. It's empty. I'm nothing. I'm working on being the art of humbleness. Can you be with me? That's the reason why I'm crying, because I'm not that person anymore and I miss him.
I was an annihilator. That's all I was born for. And now those days are gone. It's empty. I'm nothing. I'm working on being the art of humbleness. Can you be?
Because sometimes I feel like trash. I don't want that person to come out, because if he comes out, hell is coming with him, and it's not funny at all. It's not cool. Like I'm a tough guy. It's just, like I'm scared of him, Mike Tyson said in an interview. That inner version of Mike Tyson that brutalized opponents for a career that spanned over 2 decades is what he has caged inside himself since his retirement, and it's quite incredible how emotional he was while talking about it. If we had that version of Mike Tyson active, then Jake Paul would have seen obituaries of himself made in advance, and that would have put an end to all the debates that have been doing the rounds since the bout was made official. The major questions have been whether Tyson at 57, going to 58 in a few months, can withstand a 27-year-old fighter, 31 years younger than himself, on July 20th and still stand a chance. Many believe this question shouldn't be asked in the first place, as despite being way past his prime, Tyson is still very strong, quick, and athletic, which is very evident in his recent training and sparring footage. According to many experts and professionals, the strength of a fighter is the last thing to go, meaning Tyson is at full strength, with the only thing probably lacking being the stamina and endurance to go very long and numerous rounds of fighting. The question is now turned to whether or not Paul stands a chance against this current Mike Tyson, who in his prime annihilated and brutalized fighters who were way better than Jake Paul. Notably, Jake Paul has always been criticized for fighting only retired fighters, with his first and only fight against a full-time professional, Tommy Fury, resulting in a loss. Boxing professionals fear what might be the fate of Jake Paul on the 20th of July, as he has probably woken up the vicious version of Tyson, which ended opponents' careers in the ring with his very sensitive and offensive comments about Tyson's daughter. This is the exact feeling of Jeff Mayweather, who has advised Jake Paul to call off and cancel the fight with Tyson if he wants to continue his boxing career. I think this is the point where Jake Paul has got to sit himself down and give himself a solid piece of advice, because it's not going to be fun anymore. It's not going to be business as usual. Those comments are unnecessary, and I think he might have just triggered a version of Tyson he won't be able to withstand in the ring, so there's no point going into the fight. Tyson's gonna brutalize him, and I'm definitely calling off the fight at this point if I were him. Mike Tyson's old friend and pal, Joe Egan, also shared the same opinion with Mayweather, as according to him, Jake Paul shouldn't even bother getting in the ring with an angry Mike Tyson, more so when he's the reason behind Tyson's rage and anger. The kid doesn't know what he's gotten himself into, really. I understand before a boxing match there's a lot of hard talk and trash talking each other, but I don't think it's always very necessary, really. Yeah, a lot of boxers, a lot of fighters do it, but I think you've still got to pick your words. Jake Paul crossed the line with those comments on Mike Tyson's late daughter, and it may not be good for him. I was there. I saw how Mike struggled emotionally and psychologically after the tragic death of Exodus. It's been way more than 10 years now, and his life is back to normal. You wouldn't want to be the one to reopen those wounds. An angry Mike is dangerous. He could unleash all the anger on him, you know? It is understandable the comments of Mayweather and Egan. Both men are around the same age as Tyson, and they watched him during his prime, how he annihilated boxers that stood before him, no matter their sizes, reputations, or records. According to John Fury, the permutations for the fight between Paul and Tyson has not looked really good for Paul from the onset, and he's trying so hard to overcomplicate things, which might work out to be a big disadvantage.
Can anybody question who I am here? If I
See, from the first day I heard about this fight, I always knew it was a tricky one. I already gave coward Mike Tyson the edge. I call him coward because he's been avoiding me. Take nothing away from Jake Paul though, he's a very good boxer. Everyone says he's a YouTube guy, but he's held his own against some other very good guys and has lost only once since then, to Tommy of course. I think he should not try to overcomplicate things ahead of the fight. He's tried so hard to do so already. He's fighting Mike Tyson, his biggest ever fight so far. Tyson has a track record of putting loudmouths where they belong, so I think he should tone it down a little bit, or the fight will be as good as one that never happened from his perspective. Fury's last sentence further echoed the sentiments shared by Egan and Mayweather. And talking about perspective, the fight between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson is going to be a career-defining moment for Paul. A win or a loss could really affect the trajectory of his career positively or negatively, hence, he needs to approach the match with more meticulousness. On the other hand, it could be said that Jake Paul has chosen not to be intimidated by Mike Tyson, whose name sends shivers down the spine of every competitor. But surprisingly, Jake Paul has been parading with faux confidence. It's unknown where his confidence has come from, but it may not be the best time to do this. His faux confidence may lead him into trouble, though, if misinterpreted by Mike Tyson. According to British former professional boxer Julius Francis, Jake Paul should call off the match with Tyson if all he's got in his game plan is trash talking and a desperate show of confidence. Tyson is a very experienced fighter. He is not moved by how confident his opponent tries to look or appear. Jake has got into the ring with a very solid game plan, or else he will be knocked out in the first round, Francis said in an interview. Julius Francis has definitely got first-hand experience when it comes to fighting Mike Tyson, as the pair went head-to-head in a professional boxing match on the 29th of January in the year 2000. Tyson won the fight against Julius Francis by a second-round technical knockout.
Everyone that's watched the tapes of Mike knows tying him up and frustrating is a way to get to him mentally. Tyson with a head and shoulders move, left hook, right uppercut, kicking left.
And in 2004, Francis did talk the world through his experience in fighting Mike Tyson. To be honest, I was intimidated by him. He'd had more knockouts than I'd had fights, but no one could have told me then that he was going to beat me. I just thought whoever landed the biggest punch would win the bout. Once the fight started, it was an entirely different story. Coming across the ring towards me, Tyson had this unbelievable intensity and ferocity about him. My plan went straight out the window. You have studied the way he comes out and you practice defending it, but the way he does it is nothing like what you have prepared for. If someone hits me, I want to hit him back. That's the sort of person I am. But it's different against Tyson, Julius Francis continued. He hit me immediately with a big right, and though I was well up for the fight, I was shocked by the speed and power of the punches that followed. I was knocked down in the first round. I got up, he carried on, and the rest of the fight was a bit of a blur. He was hitting me with all sorts of body and head shots. He even lifted me off the ground with some of them, and I weighed 17 stone. It was relentless. He would come at me from one side and then from the other. The angles he got into me from were incredible. People always talk about his punching power, but his technique and timing are also excellent. He always gets inside you and can outbox and outjob you. He was such a gifted fighter. When I was interviewed afterwards, they told me I had been knocked down 5 times and I was amazed. I didn't believe them until I watched it on a monitor. I wasn't really thinking about it at the time and just kept on getting back up. The pain didn't kick in properly until I was back in the hotel after the press conference. Then I was in all sorts of agony. I lay in the bath for hours recovering. I won't forget the pain in a hurry.
Mike knows tying him up and frustrating is a way to get to him mentally. Tyson with a head and shoulders move, left hook, right uppercut, kicking left to the midsection for 2 minutes. That's a lot more than most people thought. That left hook to the body.
Julius Francis's testimony is a perfect illustration of why everyone feared Tyson during that era. It was a period of sheer dominance by the legendary Iron Mike, and only the best in the business could even last in the ring with him. Though, can he still carry on with such ferocity like he did in his youth? It is yet to be seen at 57 years old. Jake Paul has brought the legend out of retirement, and it is through the bout on July 20th that it will be known if Tyson has still got it in him or not. Nevertheless, it is quite popular opinion that his punches are still as effective, dangerous, and they weigh as much as they ever did. Typical of a professional fighter, no significant decline in the basic fundamentals, especially power. Jake Paul canceling or calling off the match with Mike Tyson will be a very tall order though. It is set to be one of the biggest fights, if not the biggest fight in recent history, a moment Paul has always dreamt of. It's definitely going to be a surreal moment for him fighting a legendary icon like Mike Tyson, whom he referred to as his childhood hero. Some say fighting a retired 57-year-old Mike Tyson is a lose-lose, but it doesn't seem like Paul cares. The dude seems more interested in the money and the buzz involved. He probably cares less about the reputation. He has handpicked all his opponents up until this point, and though Mike Tyson is his hardest ever opponent, he will want to fancy his chances. After all, Mike Tyson will be 58 when they go head-to-head on July 20th. He is not only retired, but he has also not gone into the boxing ring in the last 4 years. The fans, on the other hand, will be waiting in high anticipation for this most talked-about showdown at the AT&T Stadium. Netflix is also involved in a record-breaking deal, and it all looks good financially for all parties involved. What's not yet certain is who gets battered on that day. And that's all for now. If you enjoyed watching this video, kindly react by clicking the like button below. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications to get alerted when we drop quality contents like this. Until next time, peace out.